All right, let's go ahead and switch over here, and let's make you smaller. All right, I need to get a check on the mic. Let me know if you guys can hear me all right. Does everyone hear me all right? You're good. Sounds good. All right, great. We're all good. Okay. So did anyone realize Bitcoin went to like 58K the other day? Oh yeah, you guys like my professional charting right here? This is Kaspa Silver's future price prediction right here. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Bitcoin had dropped to how low? 58,456. 58,456. That was a drop. Let me check the day. Yesterday. Okay, so yesterday dropped to 58,456. And then if we're looking at Kaspa, it only dropped, I think it dropped to like 14.5, but that was it. Like it didn't flinch at all to the price that Bitcoin dropped to. I mean, we're talking like in one day, what was the high? It was at 63K and it went all the way to 58K, which was about how much? Yeah, it did about 7-8% drop. And yesterday, Kaspa put in a green candle. The low was 15. Suppose he says here is 15.2 with the high of 16.2. Let me check the day before, because I think the new day just got put in, yeah, like 30 minutes ago. So yeah, over here, the low was 14.3, and then it went all the way to 15.6. So I mean, it barely phased Kaspa. And then if we're looking at the Kaspa BTC chart, I mean, it looks like it wants to create some newer highs here. Now, this is not some professional TA. I'm not some expert. I just draw lines. So don't don't take it as like a it's over. Because I seriously don't trade. I just mess around with charts to see if I can predict something, but I just keep buying weekly. I don't trade at all. But yeah, this, I mean, it's looking like we want to make a new all-time high. This is the Bitcoin against Kaspa chart here, and we could just see it's devastating for Bitcoin holders. For the past 2 years, it's been better to basically just hold Kaspa. So let's see if that trend continues. But nonetheless, Kaspa is number 24 now, and it's just behind Litecoin now. And in my watch list here, I literally only have the cryptocurrencies that matter to me that Kaspa needs to pass. And that's all the proof of work cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Dogecoin, which I believe Kaspa is totally undervalued because Dogecoin's at 18 billion. And I truly believe that Kaspa is far more superior to Dogecoin. And then the like further long-term end game is that Ethereum, of course. I still believe Kaspa is the next Ethereum, and it's gonna have, it could be something similar to like Solana, how Solana's even competing with Ethereum, but still Kaspa's still far more superior than even something like Solana. So nonetheless, Kaspa with no major exchanges is still moving up in the ranks, which is just crazy to see. I mean, we were what we were in the top 20 like I think a year ago as well, and then we went back down, but we're already back in the top 20. Bitcoin had a pretty decent sized crash in the last 24 hours, and Kaspa wasn't even phased by it. I mean, and if we're looking at like the statistics for like like the inactive supply. So this is Kaspa that has not moved in over 3 months is sitting at 65%. Like this is insane. Like how much Kaspa is not moving at all. People are seriously just holding. This just literally had a little increase here, 43% in the last 6 months. We're almost approaching 50% of Kaspa not being moved in the last 6 months. So, I mean, hello, if there's people that are going to be holding the supply like crazy and the demand comes, it's only a matter of time. I mean, there's not going to be enough supply for everybody. So far, we're looking really good in the markets. Let's look at the chat here. We flipped ICP. Yes, we did flip ICP, and I had made a X post about ICP because some dude in my comment section was kind of complaining, saying that like, oh, what does Kaspa do? Kaspa doesn't do anything. It doesn't compare to ICP. And I'm like, you're right. It doesn't compare to ICP because Kaspa is doing something completely different. It is revolutionizing a technology that currently sits at a $1.2 trillion market cap. Kaspa is revolutionizing that technology and doing things that it could never do. And it's trying to be a type of currency, a stateless type of currency or money. And that's something completely different from ICP that is just basically trying to be a massive smart contract platform to run applications on. I mean, there's like I described this in my video that came out today that there's only a cap. There's a cap to how many people care about smart contracts. Not every single person cares about smart contracts and cares about tokens, NFTs, applications. Barely people know what a seed phrase is in crypto. So tapping into a currency, which is the whole purpose of cryptocurrency, is a much bigger market than all of that other stuff. And someone in my comment section today also said that he lives in Turkey. He said he lives in Turkey and that his currency has been horrible. It's been declining in value. And literally he said that all his savings that he's able to put away, he puts into Kaspa because it's been a better alternative to his currency. So, I mean, like, this is what I'm talking about. I think long-term third world countries that have fast, rapidly declining currencies are going to eventually, those people that are living there are going to find Kaspa and they're going to view it. They might already know about Bitcoin, but they're going to see Kaspa as something that is undervalued and something that could be more a better potential to be a currency, because with Bitcoin, I mean, you have the fees issues and stuff like that, and it's just not built for a type of currency. It's viewed as digital gold, and that's what people really market it as now today. I mean, companies, and even states now are putting it as like a reserve asset. So it's not something to move around. It's more something to just hold your money in long term. So yeah. Do you think a tier 1 listing can happen around when KRC20 gets released June 30th, because trading volume could be high for some weeks after the beta release? A tier 1 listing is always possible, but it's seriously not something that's like absolutely necessary. Kaspa has proved that without tier 1 listings, it's still able to move up in the ranks, which is really great to see. That shows a lot of strength in the people who are in Kaspa. But of course, tier 1 listings does bring just easier adoption for more people to have access to Kaspa. But nonetheless, tier 1 listings are going to come eventually. It's only a matter of time. I mean, right now they're rejecting $65 million in volume today. This is Kaspa today, $65 million in volume. A tier 1 listing is rejecting that right now. And that's just simply because they can't control Kaspa. They can't control the price because they didn't get any allocated supply of Kaspa to them in the beginning. So fair launch comes with some sacrifices. Some of those sacrifices are not being able to be on tier 1 exchanges right away. But I mean, it's really not that difficult to me to get Kaspa. You just need to learn some things possibly. But other than that, Tier ones will come eventually. Switch 625 says, "Okay, I'm here. I'm going to meet Shy tomorrow." Oh, are you in Miami right now? Because Miami is about like almost 3 hours away from me, but I wasn't able to attend the mining event that is currently going on. I wish I could have gone, but it's all right. One day we'll get to that point where we can go to one of the meetings and meet the Kaspa devs and contributors and all those fun people. Is Caspium as safe as Tangem? No. Caspium is not as safe as Tangem because Caspium is a hot wallet. Caspium is it's just an app. And when you generate your seed phrase, those words are generated on a device, usually your phone, that is connected to the internet. Now, some people will say, well, I just put my phone in airplane mode and generate the seed phrase, and then I'll never use the phone again. That could work too. I'm not saying that like if you're using Caspium, you're going to lose your funds today. Like that's not what I'm saying. But if we're just looking at the facts of safety, Tangem would be better if you also don't generate the seed phrase on the Tangem app. If you get the Tangem cards and you never generate a seed phrase and you let the cards secure your keys, then that's the safest method because you don't even know the keys to your assets. They're secured on the cards that you get with Tangem. And it's kind of similar with like a ledger device. Like I have a ledger device here, and the seed phrase is generated on this device, but this device can never connect to the internet. It never requires internet connection for this device to work. It just requires connecting to a laptop, but this is independent of the laptop. And so you generate the seed phrase on the cold storage device. That's why it's called a cold storage, because it's never connecting to the internet. Caspium is a hot wallet because it does connect to the internet. So if you're looking at the facts of terms of safety, Tangem, Ledger, OneKey are your cold storage devices. I also have a OneKey here. This is my OneKey. Now I don't like OneKey simply because OneKey has a blind signing issue. So basically, it's not like super bad. Well, I think it is pretty bad. Not that you're gonna lose your funds, but it's just bad because if you spend money on a OneKey, you're basically not getting your money's worth. The whole point of these cold storage devices is that they have screens on them, and these screens are meant to verify what you're sending your assets to. So on the OneKey, there's a current bug right now that you can't verify the address that you're sending your Kaspa to. So if the unlikelihood event, but it could happen, that what you see on your phone or on your laptop when you're using a OneKey is actually malicious. Someone was able to hack in it and make it appear that you're sending it to one address, but in the background, they're actually sending it to another address, which again, this is like something unlikely to happen. You wouldn't be able to verify that because it doesn't appear on the screen. And because of that bug, I don't really like it. I still use OneKey to hold my Kaspa because it's not like I'm sending my Kaspa every single day. I'm not too worried about it. And I have sent Kaspa with OneKey a few times, never had an issue with it. But that exists. The blind signing exists. Same thing with Tangem. Essentially, the blind signing exists because you don't have a separate device with a screen. But again, I've used Tangem multiple times, never had any issues with it. Been using it for over a year, never had any issues with it. It's going to come down to common security practices, making sure you're downloading the correct Tangem app, making sure you're not going on malicious sites or allowing your devices to get hacked or anything like that. So Spread your cash bags over multiple cold wallets, not just one or two. Exactly. That's what I do. I spread my Kaspa between one key, Ledger, and my Tantrum, which is right here. I spread my Kaspa between different wallets, and what's important is that you're keeping the seed phrase safe. I mean, like if someone stole these things, good luck. I mean, you're not really going to get into anything unless you're able to hack the PIN code that's behind them, but that would take a long time. I would figure out that you stole them, and then by that time I would have already recovered my funds with my seed phrase on another device and moved it out of the wallet into a brand new wallet. So the seed phrase is the most important thing that you need to be securing when it comes to crypto. So it looks like Kaspa did get to the 16 cents, which I was saying would possibly go to today. And now we're 16 cent stablecoin. I'm currently talking with one of the Kaspa supporters because there was a question that Bitcoin University had asked about Kaspa's fees and if Kaspa's fees will rise with demand. And I didn't want to give him a wrong answer, but wanted to give him a type of answer while I researched it. Because from my knowledge, the fees on Kaspa are set. They don't rise based on demand. And also, if demand was to come on Kaspa, it wouldn't matter because Kaspa can handle it. So the fees wouldn't have to rise, essentially. BTC and ETH dropping again. Kaspa is holding strong. Kaspa has been holding really strong. Let's see this. Yeah, I mean, it's making it. I mean, I hope we can see an all-time high this year on the Kaspa against Bitcoin chart. If we look at the Bitcoin against Kaspa chart, you know, it looks like it's in a downtrend right now and might want to go and make a new low, but we'll see what happens. But when Kaspa went to this all-time high at 19.3, I mean, it did that super quick, super quick. I was not expecting it to be that quick, but of course it did correct because a lot of people are always taking profits on their Kaspa. Let me go to mining pool stats. Let's look here. Let's go by emission. So yeah, Kaspa is about to pass Dogecoin again in emissions for mining. There was a time where Kaspa was above Dogecoin for a very long time, but right now it's under Dogecoin. And basically, I mean, I think Kaspa needs to be like if it wants to pass Bitcoin in emissions per the last 24 hours in mining revenue, it would need to basically like be a $60 billion market cap pretty much, because this would need to almost 21x around there to get to 24 million. So that would need to about 20x the market cap. So we're looking at like, yeah, over 60 billion for Kaspa to actually compete with Bitcoin when it comes to the emissions, which would be pretty crazy if Kaspa was able to pass it. But it is a milestone that Kaspa is one of the only proof of works after Dogecoin to be in the $1 million range of emissions generated. If we're looking at Cas.fyi, what's the hash rate at? 340 petahashes. The highest hash rate's 374 petahashes. That is insane. But currently 83.71% mined. How much is Bitcoin mined at right now? The supply, 19.7 million. 93.89%. So Kaspa is pretty much going to catch up to Bitcoin in the amount of emissions or amount of the supply that's out fairly soon here. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. I got all my Kaspa in one key. I'm considering getting a Tangem to put the half of my funds there. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to diversify with different wallets because you just never know. I mean, like I never want to trust anything 100%. Be like, yeah, this is impossible for things to fail. Obviously, there's always ways things can fail. So, especially in technology. So I wouldn't discourage diversifying into different wallets. I hold Kaspa for Tangem. If I lost or broke my phone, what would you do? So if you hold your Kaspa in Tangem and your phone breaks, you're okay. All you need to do is get another phone that has NFC compatibility and scan your card, put in the password that's associated to your card, and you're good to go. You have your funds. As long as you don't lose your cards for Tangem, you don't lose your funds. You basically treat your cards as the way to get into your funds. I'm surprised that BitSensor is getting exchange listings faster than Cas. I'm honestly not surprised that Tau was able to get exchange listings first. Because I know they say that they're fair launched. They were able to get on Binance, and it looks like they have an exchange on Kraken for Europe, but not USDT. But nonetheless, I don't think it's strange that they were able to get this. I think it's because even though Tau is kind of fair launched, Tau has a foundation. And yes, I know Kaspa has a foundation, but the difference is Tau's foundation existed when Tau was created. And essentially, I feel like it's like a workaround to not having any kind of allocations to the foundation or to the company, but instead, hey, as a foundation, we mined the Tau. We mined the Tau, and we have a pretty decent chunk of the supply. I mean, I forget what it's called, but if I go to like Tau staking validators, I think it's here, right? Let's take a look here. Okay, here we go. Open Tensor Foundation. They have 22.56% of the network, which is equivalent to 1.2 million Tau, and there's currently only 6.9 million Tau. So 33% of the supply is currently out. They have a big chunk of that supply. And so, I don't know. I'm just speculating. I haven't really done any real research into this, but there's like VCs and foundations that are behind Tau, and we're able to get in very early, especially with the staking that Tau has, with APY and all that kind of stuff. Like you could stake your Tau and get an APY on it. I don't know. To me, I don't see the use case in Tau at all. And the APY is like the only driving factor of why people hold on to this coin. Like the average retail user will hold on to this coin is because it's offering like a 20% APY or something like that. But Tau supposedly has a max supply of 21 million Tau. So obviously this APY is not going to last forever. It's going to be impossible for you to forever earn this yield on staking Tau. So I don't believe um, Tau is good in the very, very long term. I really just don't see the use case in it, especially proof of stake. I'm just not for any proof of stake cryptocurrencies. Um, I know people say, "Oh, the AI," and I don't know. To me, I think AI in crypto right now is a scam. Basically, like it's just a buzzword in crypto. I don't see the use of AI. It's too early. I feel like it's the same. It's equivalent to the last cycle when people were saying NFTs and Web3 is the future and all that kind of stuff. You look at NFTs and Web3 today, you know, those projects that were supposedly like the next big thing in those specific niches, they're not really doing too well this cycle. And I believe in this cycle, AI is that same kind of like niche, that narrative, like, oh yeah, AI is the big thing. But I think in crypto is really just worthless. Let's talk about Marathon Digital. There's not much to talk about them other than the fact that they are the number one Bitcoin mining company. And in the recent event, where if you watched my last news video, I covered right here, big players are getting into Kaspa. I covered the Marathon situation there where one of the, I believe it was like one of the marketers or just one of the employees for Marathon Digital was speaking on behalf of Kaspa. Like he was one of the speakers for Kaspa and was complimenting Kaspa. And Marathon Digital is the biggest Bitcoin mining company. So definitely these big players are probably going to be getting into Kaspa. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are saying that getting into mining right now probably wouldn't be the smartest decision. Buying Kaspa will probably be smarter just because if these big mining companies get into Kaspa, this hash rate is going to skyrocket pretty much. Like it is going to continuously go up like it has. And I mean, recently it's gone up like crazy. Nope, that's not what I want to look at. That's not what I want to look at either. Here it is. Like, let's look at the last month. Where were we a month ago? We were at 284 a month ago, and we've peaked. This isn't even showing it, but a month ago we were at 284 petahashes, and today 374 petahashes. Almost 100 petahash increase in just a month, which is insane. So yeah, I wouldn't, if I was like in the mining world, I wouldn't be buying miners for Kaspa pretty much. I'll be just stacking Kaspa. But the big companies don't really care about looking at that stuff. They just get into the mining game and they're able to get their miners at cheaper cost as well because they buy in bulk. It's depends who's really getting involved as well when it comes to mining. Fees go up with Kaspa. From my knowledge, they don't go up, and they're hard coded in on different wallets basically. Like typically when I'm sending Kaspa, my fee is always I'm gonna check my recent transactions and to see where the fees are all the time for Kaspa. So my fee And this transaction was 0.0006. Then I have another transaction here, 0.00003. So it does kind of like move around, but I think it depends what wallet you're using as well. It looks like 0.00003 is like more common. Yeah, I keep seeing 3 zeros and a 3 for most of my transactions for a fee. Kaspa still needs plus 2 billions to pass Litecoin. Take it easy. I'm chilling, man. I am taking it easy. I made I made a video about Litecoin a year ago. It was about a year ago, saying Kaspa first competitor is Litecoin. I think in this video,
traders, what if I told you I make between $1,000 to $15,000 a day?
yeah, I don't
Welcome
care.
back to the Kaspa.
Let's see, what was Kaspa price at when I made this video? This is when I used to do like
To be is faster. Now,
did I not show the price on Kaspa in this video? Dang it.
taking
Alright,
a
what was
look.
the day? May 30th, 2023. So May 30th of 2023 was, no way. What price was this? This is June. Okay, so right here. So on May 30th of 2023, the price of Kaspa was somewhere between the range of, let me just go on the day chart. Let's get the exact price of Kaspa when I made that video of Litecoin being Kaspa's first competitor. Let's see here. May 30th, Kaspa was sitting at a low. That was the low for that day was 1.5 cents. That was when Kaspa was at a penny. I made the video talking about Kaspa's first competitor being Litecoin. Litecoin was at $92. Today, Kaspa from 1 penny is at 16 cents, which, from that video, which was like right here. So I want to say from like right here to here, all-time high was 19.3. So from that video, it's gone up 1,180%. That's crazy when I made that video. So today, Litecoin's $71, from $92 to $71. Kaspa today is right behind Litecoin at 16 cents. So trust me, I am patient. I have been waiting, and I have been predicting this and calling that this is what may happen. And it looks like we are as close as ever to pass Litecoin, which was what I deemed Litecoin, Kaspa's first true competitor. Could you discuss the fee system more in depth, and how will KRC20 affect this? Yes, I actually have in my list of videos to create to talk about the fees on Kaspa, but I do want to do more in-depth research on it because I've just heard different things, and I want to make sure that there's a dedicated video to explain the fees on Kaspa. So I will be researching that more. I do know though, for KRC20, if you're going to be deploying a brand new token on KRC20, it's always going to be 1,000 Kaspa, and it's going to go to the miners. And that's when you're deploying a brand new token. Then after, I believe the set fee for like moving tokens around and everything is going to be 1 Kaspa flat, which is going to be more. That's actually more than how much it is to move Kaspa itself. But when you're going to be moving tokens around, it's going to be 1 Kaspa as the lowest fee, I believe. So that's from Casplex, but I need to make a dedicated video talking about Caspa's fees. Good evening. Question: Caspa to $1,000 by 2029. I read one prediction online that specifically states that Caspa will reach 1,000. What do you think? I honestly think it is too early to be predicting 2029. Personally, I personally just don't like price predictions because they are just a random guess. I mean, it's extremely difficult to predict something, and especially in the cryptocurrency space, of what something in the future is going to be. I mean, people have been saying XRP is going to go to $1,000 since it was born, and it's 47 cents today. So, you know, it's anyone's. Your guess is just as good as my guess, to be honest, man. I just do believe that Caspa is going to be higher than where it is today, because that's why I'm an investor in it, and I'm a long-term investor in it because I do believe it's going to be higher than what it is today. And I at least am, and I can at least tell you what I'm expecting to see within like this year, and what I expect to see by like end of this year is 50 cents to $1. That's what I'm expecting to see by the end of this year, but who knows? Cast to 5,000 by the end of this month. Fair launch is so misused and misunderstood. Even meme coins claim they are fair launched these days. Yeah, it is greatly misunderstood because some people, they get frustrated when people say Caspa is a fair launch, and they're like, no, that it wasn't fair. Everyone who mined it in the beginning were everyone that knew about it. But it's like, that's exactly what fair launch means when it comes to crypto. Because what we're really trying to get at is that there's no allocations. There was no set amount of coins that were just printed up out of thin air, and we're like, hey, let's just give this to the founder. Hey, let's give this to this developer. Hey, let's give this to whatever, this company. You know, if we're looking at something like ICP, because this is where I saw someone saying Caspa's not fair launch, and someone even saying Caspa's not even decentralized. We look at something like ICP. Let me see if it does show. Does it show the chart? Does it show the allocation chart of ICP on, let's see. Does it not show it on here? They used to show like the distribution of ICP. It may be there, but I'm just not seeing it. But I'll look it up instead. ICP allocation chart. Okay. So this is on, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. This is what Kaspa doesn't have. The private sale of ICP, 24%. Foundation got 23% of the supply. The team got 18% of the supply. Now, this is something I never understand. The difference between a foundation and a team. What's the difference between the two? I don't know. I haven't done research on ICP. But to me, the team, don't they work at the foundation? I mean, so the team got 18%. The foundation got 23%. Early backers got 9%. Okay, so ICP was printed up out of thin air and given to people, groups. This destroys decentralization. So ICP has lost in decentralization just because of this alone. It doesn't even matter about the tech, in my opinion. You lost in decentralization because of this. And essentially you're a security because you're hiding behind a crypto project to fund your company of the ICP Foundation or whatever that supposedly has a ton of developers behind it and all that kind of stuff. So you are funding the operations via the pre-sales and the private allocations that was given to yourself, and then investors invest into the coin, and now you're funding those people that got their ICP for free. They literally just got it for free. They printed it up, gave it to themselves. And also ICP has a max supply that is infinite, and don't mess with infinite supplies. I don't care if there's like some kind of burn, whatever. Infinite supplies is just not gonna work unless you have crazy amount of usage long term. And Ethereum has like first mover advantage, and I know it has an infinite supply. What is an unfair launch? An unfair launch is what I just described, what ICP has. But what would have happened if they started mining Kaspa? If you're talking about Marathon Digital, well, if they start mining Kaspa, I mean, that's like a stamp of approval that Kaspa is like a pretty serious crypto project that the biggest mining company is interested in mining. But also it would probably skyrocket the hash rate and maybe put a lot of miners, smaller miners, at a disadvantage because they're starting to mine Kaspa. But there's just a lot of different moving parts that goes into that because of like it costs money to get miners, it costs money to run the farms and all that kind of stuff. So it's really hard to know exactly what's going to happen if that was to happen, but we don't know that they're going to be mining Kaspa. What do you think about waiting for Turbo to go, let's say 0.0035, swap 100k Kaspa, and when Turbo goes to 0.007, double Kaspa to 200k? I would say, what do I think about that? I think you are straight up gambling and you're trying to time the market, and you are doing this with a lottery ticket. I mean, Turbo, from my knowledge, is a like a viewed kind of like a meme coin kind of thing, and you're hoping for it to go to 0.007. This, dude, I would not recommend this. I wouldn't do this personally. If you want to mess around with it, you can, but essentially that it's gambling. And another thing is you're gambling with Kaspa, which is in like a more legitimate investment that you could have fundamental reasons of why you want to hold this coin. With something like Turbo, are there fundamental reasons on why you want to hold the coin other than, hey, this might go to this price, and if it goes to this price, I could sell it, and then I double my Kaspa? Like, it's easier said than done, and way too risky. I wouldn't recommend doing it simply because, in my opinion, that is just straight up gambling with coins that are essentially like meme coins. That was me tweeting with Matthew about Kaspa. He has doubts about Kaspa scaling. What do you say fees will be at scale? I can't see what Shai said. He blocked me. Ask him to unblock me. Yeah, I'm looking into that whole fee things with Kaspa, and from what Matthew was saying was that the fees would rise on Kaspa if demand was to come in. But the problem is, if Kaspa was adopting Bitcoin's demand today, Kaspa would be able to handle it just fine. It wouldn't have any kind of bloat because Kaspa can currently handle 300 transactions per second. Bitcoin can't handle that much. It can only do 7 transactions per second. So that's why for Bitcoin, fees are $1, $2, $3, $4. With Kaspa, it's able to handle 300 transactions per second, and then once it upgrades to 10 BPS, it could do 3,000 transactions per second. So it literally wouldn't matter if the demand that came into Kaspa was something that, like, if Kaspa was getting Ethereum's transaction volume, which I believe is like about 1 million transactions per day, Kaspa will be chilling. I mean, it'll literally be chilling. Especially if, look, there's, in 24 hours, there's 1 block every second, right? So 86,400 seconds, I think, right? Let me make sure. How many seconds in a day? 86,400. So there's 86,400 blocks that are coming out right now. Each block can have 300 transactions in it. That's the max amount of transactions it can have in each block. So we time that by 300. Kaspa can essentially handle 25.9 million transactions a day. If Kaspa was being used at its full potential, this is how many transactions it can handle a day. Bitcoin literally only has Bitcoin transaction volume. Today was 528,000 transactions. So if that came to Kaspa, why would that raise the fees when Kaspa is able to handle 25.9 million transactions? Like, Kaspa's able to handle the amount of bloat that Bitcoin's getting right now just fine. So I don't see why it would drive the fees to go up. I've read some things about Shai saying that essentially the fee market will be kind of opposite. Instead of bidding on the highest fee, it would be a race to the bottom bidding for the lowest fee. But there's a lot of different views that I've seen or people have talked about it, and I want to get a more concrete description of how fees work on Kaspa. So I may ask one of the developers so I can get a for sure answer. In fact, let me look at the Kaspa wiki. Let's see. Fees. Is there any kind of fees? Currently, the transaction fee is calculated as 0.0001 CAS per UTXO. I think, okay, if I understand correctly, this is hard coded in. So depending on how many UTXOs you have in a transaction when you send it is how much the fee is going to be for the transaction. Now, it doesn't go into more details here, but I will ask a developer to find out for sure. But I believe it's just based on how many UTXOs are in the transaction. So if you have more than one UTXO, when you're sending your Kaspa, it's going to cost a little bit more fees because there's multiple UTXOs that need to be consolidated. Because if you remember, if you watch my video, I made a video talking about how UTXOs work, and it's a very good video to understand because UTXOs is an important part of Kaspa. So Kaspa UTXOs explained. That's a good video to watch to understand how UTXOs work. Based on what it's saying here in the Kaspa wiki, the fees are calculated as 0.001 CAS per UTXO. So essentially, that's just, it's hard coded in. It doesn't move based on the demand of Kaspa at all. It's just based on literally how many UTXOs you have. And if you have like 10 UTXOs when you're sending Kaspa, then the fee will be this times 10, because you always need to spend all your UTXOs if you're going to be sending Kaspa. So that's the best way I can answer it with my minimum kind of research. But Kaspa Wiki is a good place to go to for things. But yeah. Tau looks like 95% of typical crypto that after huge initial pump that heads towards zero, according to a VC at recent pump podcast. I mean, that's my main problem with Tau is Tau had a foundation at the start. We looked at it already. This was a foundation that existed at the start of Tau. It has over 22% of the network invalidation, 1.2 million tau. And essentially, I mean, to me, that screams selling pressure because this foundation obviously has employees. I'm pretty sure. Like, let me go here. They're 22.26% of the entire supply. And do they have a website? The driving force behind bit sensor. So it's like they called themselves a foundation, but they're the main people behind the coin, regardless. Home. Newsletter. Let's see what's at the bottom. Discord. Okay. The team. There's a team here at this place. I mean, to me, it just screams selling pressure because I feel like, how is this foundation going to operate? With what funds? It's not like they're collecting funds from people. They instead have a huge stake in the project already that's earning an APY. So yeah, to me that just screams selling pressure. And I believe there was because there's a proof of stake aspect to it as well. You have other players that are part of the validation that look like are pretty big entities that were able to get in very early and start staking tau. I don't know. I just stay away from proof of stake. The reality is after Kaspa does its normal 300% leg up from breaking resistance, we're going to see a jump towards number 16 real quick in 2.5 months. That's a nice prediction. I hope something like that happens. That would be really nice. We do see that Kaspa is really, really strong right now. Does say a lot. I mean, since we started, it's been a stable coin at the 16-cent area. It did rise to the 16.19, almost went to the 1.2. We're looking at this here, the Kaspa against Bitcoin here. We got that first major resistance there at that all-time high that was put in June. Yeah, it looks like it was put in June. But yeah, going back to tau, I mean, it has dumped quite a bit. I mean, I think it went all the way to like, $730. But, people will say, oh, well, Bitcoin, dumped to this. And I mean, like, it's not a good comparison. Not a good comparison. Is Kaspa faster than Alphium? Kaspa faster than Alphium. Let me put this coin in. This coin, I've looked at this coin so many times because people ask me about it. But first off, is this thing just a token on the Ethereum network? Well, let's see what it advertises on its website. And I just want to remind you guys, like, speed matters, but what matters most is confirmation times. So, like, if this thing is saying, like, oh, it could do thousands of transactions per second, I would want to see its confirmation times. And I don't feel like going into a deep dive into this because it may take time. Why in the world did that happen? Okay. Let me see if it's just public knowledge on Google. Alphium confirmation times. Exchanges usually require a higher confirmation for proof of work. Currently, most exchanges request between 30 to 60 confirmations for Alphium, which is between 30 minutes and an hour. So how much is their confirmation time? If their confirmations is from 30 to 60, and they're saying that means it's between 30 minutes to an hour, I imagine that they're saying that their confirmation times are 1 minute. Because if you need 30 confirmations on an exchange, then that means you would need to wait 30 minutes. So that wouldn't be faster than Kaspa, because Kaspa's confirmation times are 10 seconds, not 1 minute. So like, yeah, this might be able to do like a ton more, like, let's see, 400 transactions per second. It can scale up to 10K TPS. Okay. But the confirmation times is what is really important as well. And it looks like it's a minute, and Kaspa is at 10 seconds confirmation time. So confirmation times is pretty much more important as well. Scale is hard to answer because it hasn't happened yet. Hard to answer technical hypotheticals, but I appreciate the answer. Yeah. He was asking about like Kaspa scaling in the future. It's hard to know for sure because it hasn't, a lot of different things haven't been proven yet. I mean, at least for Kaspa, it has proved that 10 blocks per second is possible. Totally possible. We look at Kaspa NG. I'm currently on testnet 11. And testnet 11 is currently being stress tested with like the max amount of stress that it can handle on purpose. So people are creating tons and tons of transactions on this test version of Kaspa, which is operating at 10 blocks per second. This has been running for months, and there has not been any significant issues with the network. So that does show that like the future is pretty bright for Kaspa upgrading to 10 blocks per second, allowing 3000 TPS. Looks like it's going to be really, really fine. Cubic said they also solved the trilemma. Cubic. I don't think I've ever talked about Cubic on here. All I will say about Cubic is that some on X, a Binance researcher, he said that he said essentially that he thought it was a scam. There was a little bit of drama there, and then eventually like he just kind of apologized and said, you know what? He didn't retract this statement, but he just basically said like, looks like a scam to me, or whatever. My thing is Cubic it's not focusing on anything that I care about, which is stateless money, cryptocurrency. I see here that the supply is at 89.4 trillion cubic. The max supply is 1,000 trillion. I mean, what is the supply? Now, I know people are going to be like, oh, you know, you need to do your research. You don't get it, whatever. But I'm sorry, but this supply just screams red flags for me. A 89.4 trillion supply. I mean, like, the U.S. government is not even in debt that much, but they have a supply of 89 trillion. Like, that's just crazy. What do you think about the FUD on Kaspa hard fork? Didn't Bitcoin have a hard fork? Yes. Bitcoin did have a hard fork in the past, a long time ago. But I actually answered about the hard fork issue. These two videos are really good where I addressed that, because it was mainly coming from Da Vinci Jeremy, where he was talking about the hard forks on Kaspa, that they might be a security issue and all that kind of stuff, everything he's worried about. And so in these two videos, I basically addressed the concerns that he had and answered them to the best of my ability. But just to summarize it all, I'm not concerned about, I'm not concerned about the hard forks coming to Kaspa in the future. Remember, the founder behind Kaspa is the same person that's mentioned in the Ethereum white paper. I don't think he would get this far over 10 years later and mess up the project off because of a hard fork. They seriously have thought everything through, and I did get a little bit of insight of what's happening with Kaspa. And I'll just give you a little bit of insight. I think this information can be found on the Hebrew Telegram channel that Kaspa has. But I have a buddy in there that kind of lets me know what's going on in there. But the plan is right now is that there's no schedule. There's no schedule for how the hard fork, when the hard fork is going to happen and all that kind of stuff. But the path is clear. It's just a clear path. So the first step is optimization phase in testnet 11. Mainly things that scream there's an opportunity here to do little work for huge gain in performance is close to finish, and there are things that are substantial. So testnet 11 testing, which is this right here, essentially right now they just want to do final tweaks to make this be the best it can be. And then there's going to be a period of stress testing on the version to finally decide whether it fits for mainnet. So they want to do a more stronger period of stress testing, and then in parallel work on a fork for the mainnet. Testnet 11 started right away with 10 BPS, but in mainnet we need to write the transition code. The code isn't complex, but it's intricate and fragile, and it needs to be done carefully and professionally. Once that version is ready, we figure out the hard fork date a few months ahead, which will be announced together with the version release. Part of the changes require slight modification from the ecosystem. Miners, for example, meaning mining software, will require a light update for the gRPC interface. Exchanges and similar service providers will need to make sure their logic is sound and capable enough for 10 BPS. If not, they'll have to upgrade their infrastructure. We will provide efficient code in Rust also for the client side, but every exchange will need to adjust themselves according to their existing infrastructure. So just based on that information, like the best prediction I can give on like when 10 blocks per second and the hard fork can come, I think the earliest it can come is probably like the end of this year. But essentially, I could be seeing this happen maybe beginning of next year for 10 blocks per second to be on mainnet, because it is a process. Going to 10 blocks per second is a hard fork. It requires a consensus change. So it requires the code to be changed within the network. That also requires everyone to update their nodes again, basically. But what's going to happen is anyone who's on, so this is just from my knowledge from when I've asked people about it. Okay, so currently we wanted everyone to transition to Rust, right? So that in itself was an update to the nodes. So right now we have about 94% of all the blocks are on Rust. So pretty much 94% of people who run nodes are now running Rust. That's good. Now for the hard fork to happen, from my understanding, a brand new update is going to be announced. So right now what? Rust is version 0.14.1. So let's say the hard fork for Kaspa is 0.15.0. So what would have to happen is we need all these people that went to Rust to once again update to 0.15.0. And I'm just speaking out of example here. And then that update will have the hard fork coded into it, but it will happen in like 3 months later. So everyone who's on any of these versions are okay to stay on those versions. And it won't affect them from not moving until that date of when 10 blocks per second literally goes live, where that node that's running the 0.15.0 or whatever will just, there will be a date where a certain block height will be hit, and then boom, it transitions to 10 bps. If you're not on that version, now you're going to be left behind. And then the whole goal, of course, is to keep this a seamless transition. So that's why we need to give enough time for everyone to basically update their nodes once again to the hard fork version. But the goal was to first get to Rust, so that now Kaspa is fully on Rust. It's no longer using this old coding language that is less superior to what Rust allows Kaspa to do now. So I know it seems like, oh my goodness, like another update, this and that. It's a long process just because everything needs to be done correctly. I mean, we do not want an Ethereum Classic with Kaspa. We don't want a Kaspa Classic. We don't want another fork to happen, or someone or an issue that happens with Kaspa where we have to roll back the chain because someone was able to do something malicious. So we want to make sure that this hard fork is as seamless and easy as possible. I don't understand hard fork doesn't mean they will create new token that can do 10 BPS. No, essentially what will happen in a hard fork is a hard fork is when you're changing consensus rules. You're breaking consensus rules completely. And so when you're breaking consensus rules, anyone who doesn't update to those new rules will stay on a different version. And a new coin is created only if this other version that people have not updated to, there's enough people existing on that version and there's support for that to exist. So like when Bitcoin Cash was created, essentially what happened is someone copy pasted the Bitcoin code, fixed some things, and said, we're going to continue the Bitcoin network at this same exact block. So like with Bitcoin Cash, when you go to the transaction, the Explorer, you can't see all the way back to 2009 when Bitcoin was launched, because Bitcoin Cash started in 2017. So basically what happened is they changed the code and they had enough support. They had enough miners that wanted to mine this other version of Bitcoin that had a little bit of minor changes. And since they had enough support, it eventually became another coin. But when you go to like a Bitcoin Explorer, you're gonna see that if I search a transaction, so, and let me go here and let me get a transaction. So I just want an address. Can I get an address real quick? Hash ID. Okay, I'm gonna copy this address, right? I'm gonna paste this address here and click enter. So it says there are 1 blockchains with the results of your search, but if you do find there's some addresses on Bitcoin that it will say there are 2 blockchains with your results, and you're gonna see the same exact address on Bitcoin Cash. Because when the hard fork happened, everyone that had Bitcoin, basically, they just basically got a duplicate amount of Bitcoin Cash. So if you had 1 Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network when Bitcoin Cash was created, you got 1 Bitcoin, you got 1 BCH. So it was a 1-to-1 when Bitcoin Cash was created. So that is essentially what happened. But that's only because there was support for this other network to exist. When it comes to the Kaspa hard fork, I don't know why anyone would want to support an old version of Kaspa, because it would just be less superior in technology and everything. Like, it would just be worse. It's a worse version of Kaspa. Why would anyone want to continue supporting that? It makes no sense. So essentially another coin won't exist. It should be a seamless transition, but I don't know all the technical things behind it. I just try to explain it in like a basic way that my brain understands it. If someone's Kaspa bag isn't 80% minimum, I think they don't understand crypto, thus getting cubic and meme coins and proof of stake crypto. I mean, I kind of agree with that, just simply because, like, yeah, like Kaspa is literally just trying to be what crypto was intended to be. The whole entire reason and purpose for crypto existing, for why Bitcoin existed, Kaspa was trying to really fulfill on that mission. So if you really care about that, like those roots of why cryptocurrency existed, Kaspa is the best crypto to follow those roots. And I mean, hence why there's a lot of adoption to it. A lot of people actually really like it, because I'm not the only one that thinks this way, that like, yeah, like we want to see a cryptocurrency fully fulfill that vision that Satoshi came into the space in, when that's that peer-to-peer cash. %80 is risky in my opinion. My bag is 95% Kaspa. My crypto portfolio is 99% Kaspa. 99% Kaspa. 0.45% is in Bitcoin. 0.45%. Literally like nothing, but I just still buy Bitcoin just simply because I do believe in the long term potential of it. I still think the network effects are still important. It's not something to just completely ignore. I still think it's good, and I do believe in diversification, but I also believe in the saying that believed by Warren Buffett, that diversification is protection against ignorance. You know, sometimes people diversify because they simply just don't know what they're doing and they're afraid of losing money. So you're just diversifying just because you're afraid of losing money. But when you really know what you're doing, it's, you know, diversification is not that smart when you don't know what you're doing. Like, or diversification is not that smart when you do know what you're doing. Because when you know what you're doing, if you did your research, you really believe, okay, this is the path to take, you don't diversify. You just put all your eggs in one basket and you watch that basket. And I did this in the very beginning with Kaspa when it comes to the crypto space. Now, I did not put all my money, I did not sell my house, sell my, you know, whatever, all for Kaspa. I still hold a cash position. I still hold my 401k. I still buy individual funds in my Roth IRA. I still diversify there a little bit, but in the crypto space, when we're just talking about my money that's allocated to the crypto space, there was a point where I was 100% Kaspa, and that was when Bitcoin was at 25k. I had Bitcoin, I had a good bit. I had about like $2,000 or something like that in Bitcoin, and I found Kaspa, started getting into it, and I was like, I need to put my money where my mouth is. Like I've done my research, my conviction is high, and I sold all my Bitcoin, went into Kaspa at 2 cents around there. And it was an awesome decision. And then now I'm diversifying back into Bitcoin. I'm not selling my Kaspa to do that. I continue to put my capital into what I believe is gonna suffice for me, for my investing strategy, for my risk tolerance as well. You know, everyone has a different risk tolerance. Some people are scared to just put $1,000 into an investment. So it depends your risk tolerance. So I'm satisfied where I'm at with Kaspa, that, hey, okay, I don't want to keep just going boom, like focusing only on Kaspa. I'm going to diversify a little bit. So I'm putting a little bit into Bitcoin, but again, 99% is still Kaspa for me. And if we're talking about my net worth, I mean, we're talking like over 50% of Kaspa is my net worth. So, if you want to see like my actual portfolio and see how much Kaspa I hold, how much Bitcoin I hold, you'll be able to see that if you decide to join the Patreon. The Patreon gets you access to the private Discord, and on the private Discord, I show how I allocate my portfolio, what I'm doing with my money. I don't trade or anything. I just buy and hold long term, buy and hold long-term assets that I believe are going to be good quality long-term. Point 30 cents next month, not financial advice. Nothing on here is financial advice. I'm just sharing what I do with my money and what works for me. It's called personal finance. You should make it personal for yourself. Don't follow what everyone is doing on the internet. Do something that works for you, for your financial situation, and doesn't stress you out. That's a big thing. Don't do something that's going to stress you out. If you're stressing yourself out in your finances, then you're investing too much. Do something that works for you and is fun for you and doesn't stress you out. I'm not stressed with my allocations. I sleep like a baby at night. And if everything was to go on zero in my investments, literally nothing will change. My life wouldn't change. It would just suck. Like, yeah, oh man, I lost money in these investments. But the way I look at it, I didn't go to a big college or anything and go into like student loan debt. And so the way I look at it, people at my age, 22 years old, but people at my age go into $100,000, $150,000 in debt, and they graduate college at like 24, 25. They're $150,000 in debt. Now they got to find a job, and a lot of times they don't find the job to get them out of that hole. I was blessed to not get into debt. I have zero debt at all, and I'm 22. So if people are able to take that risk and put in all this money into college and to come out of it with debt, what's so bad about putting a big chunk of money that I've saved up from working and I have no debt, putting it into investment and waiting a few years and coming out with more? Or if it even just goes to zero. I mean, like, it's the same. It's kind of like the same thing when we're talking about my age and time period. I started investing like at 18. So from 18 until someone graduate, usually around like 22, 23, 24, whatever, you come out $100,000 in debt. My risk is I come out with $0 in investments, but no debt. So to me, I'm still winning. I'm still winning when you're looking at the average person at my age investing into the markets or cryptocurrency. At 24, 25, I may come out, if Kaspa fails or something like that, my investments all go to zero. I come out with $0 in investments, but still I have cash, I have 401k, I have those kind of things. I still have money there. And Lord willing, soon won't even have my own house. So I'll have those things and I won't be in debt. I'll just maybe have a mortgage. But other than that, I'm not student loan debt, So the worst that can happen is I have zero in investments. And I feel like it's no difference than coming out of college after putting so much money in and coming out with $150,000 in debt. So at my age, I think for me, my risk tolerance is a lot more higher. I have a very high risk tolerance because I'm younger. So I should, in my opinion, have a higher risk tolerance. And so that's why I go 99% Kaspa, 0.45% Bitcoin. That's just what works for me. 90% of my net worth is in Kaspa. I'm sure I won't regret it 6 years down the road. Yeah, I mean, and boom, you have more conviction and risk tolerance than I do. I can't do that. I can't do that. Buy any KS0 Ultras. I have not bought any KS0 Ultras just because, like, man, I just feel like buying Kaspa is better than buying a miner. Let's run. Let's take a look. Ice River. Let's take a look. Do they have them in stock? They do have them in stock. That is a miracle because usually they'd have like nothing in stock. $239. Shop now. Let's see. $313. So we're gonna estimate $350. So this is gonna cost about $350. $350 to get, right? And if we go to coin Gecko real quick here, want to go to coin Gecko, and we go to Kaspa, and we put $350 right here. $350. That can give me right now 2,164 Kaspa. So I could put $350 in a miner and not get any Kaspa until the miner comes to my house and I can plug it in. Or I could put 350 and get 2,164 Kaspa. So if we run this in a calculator, the miner costs 350. The hash rate it does is 400. 5 years lifespan, 100 watts in wattage. I live in Florida, so it's about 16 cents per kilowatt. Did I get the metrics right for the miner? Let me double check. We're just going to run the numbers. 400 gigawatts, 100 watts. It's really good, man. Only 100 watts for 400 gigahashes. It really isn't that bad. And I also do have a KA box, not a Pro, but a KA box that I did get for free to review in a video that Bubblegum Lightning graciously offered me. I do really appreciate that. So, okay, here we go. 2,164 Kaspa I can get, right? Mine was 400 altogether, shipped to the US. Boom. Okay, so let's put the right price. $400, right? You said it was $400. Okay. So $400 can give me 2473 Kaspa. This miner can give me, in the total lifespan, it looks like it can give me 3,644 Kaspa. Now, I won't get 3,644 Kaspa until 2026, April of 2026. Okay, let's go back and let's see when would I get the 2473 Kaspa. So 2473 Kaspa. So about right here. By May of 2025, I should break even in the amount of Kaspa I could have gotten if I just would have bought Kaspa right now. Now, this is calculating the hash rate increasing about one petahash. Not one, but like about 0.5 petahash per day. So this is 100 terahashes. So let's say if this was increasing 300 terahashes per day. So that would put us at, and that's the thing, the hash rate is skyrocketing so much. So how in the world, I feel like it's so risky to be getting miners right now. Unless Kaspa's price like literally goes to like 30 cents within a week, I don't think it's worth it. Because right now it's still 16 cents. Kaspa's price needs to be higher. I mean, even breaking even here at 100 terahashes per day, what price does Kaspa have to be to break even? 20 cents? Is it 20? So if it's 20 cents, you can break even on 2025. But again, that's only if the hash rate. Do you think the hash rate is going to be 372 petahashes in June of 2025? I don't think so, because the hash rate has already hit. I mean, we're talking FYI. The hash rate already hit 374 petahash as the highest. So this is going to be hit like within the next 2 months probably. And this calculator is calculating that it'll be 374 or whatever in a year from now. So that's not accurate, you know. So you got to up this up when you're doing the calculations. So 2025, this a year from now. Do you believe a year from now the hash rate is going to go up only 100 petahashes? I don't think so. We just went up 100 petahashes in a month. To me, miners are extremely risky right now. Unless you're getting like the top one, the best of the best one. Buying these smaller ones, I think it's better unless the price of Kaspa skyrockets. It needs to be higher for it to be more reasonable. Because right now, $400 can get you the 2473 Kaspa right now, or you can get the 2473 Kaspa a year from now, and that's not even guaranteed because the hash rate could skyrocket. I think it's too risky to get a miner, in my opinion. Those are my thoughts. And why I'm not interested in really buying a miner. Let's see here. The only financial advice I would say is to study financial literacy. I would agree 100% with that. I consume a lot of content when it comes to finances. And I am looking forward to possibly making a second channel where I'm going to talk more broad, not be only focused in on Kaspa, but just talk about more like just life management, spiritual things, finance, and my own personal life and stuff like that. Cause like example of video, like I recently am in the process of purchasing a home, my first home. I want to document that. I want to talk about that, like the experiences of going through that, what the price was, because people are like, how's the market looking right now? So how were you able to do it? And kind of explain how I did it, or make videos on like how I created this channel. How did I get to 10,000 subscribers in a year? Videos like that is what I kind of want to make in my second channel. Even talk about spiritual things, things that are in the Bible that talk about finances, how to handle your money. The Bible has a lot of wisdom when it comes to finances as well. If Kaspa went to 0, I would buy all of it. No, I would buy first. You just ordered 4 KS0 Pro or Ultras, and it was $11.50. It must have been a discount because you bought them in bulk. That is another thing I didn't consider. If you buy in bulk, you could essentially get them for cheaper, and you just got to run the numbers. Make sure you just run the numbers if you're going to be buying miners. Just make sure you run the numbers. Hash rate going to go wild when Bitmains hit. Yeah, there's going to be new Bitmain miners as well coming. So yeah, the hash rate is going to rise like crazy. Buying Kaspa is better than buying a miner. But what are mining rewards going to do when KRC20 and 10 BPS? I think they rise with Kaspa. Well, yeah, the rewards are going to rise. But the way I look at mining, though, is I want to be able to recoup how much Kaspa I would have had if I just would have bought Kaspa straight up. That's why when I was looking at CoinGecko, I was looking at the price of a miner and how much Kaspa that would give me, and then looking at how long it would take for me to get that amount of Kaspa back. Because if you get a miner, yeah, for sure, you're gonna ROI on the dollar amount. If Kaspa is successful, yeah, you're gonna be fine with the dollar. You're gonna ROI with your dollar amount, but the ROI with the Kaspa amount, I think, is better because, okay, $400 to get 2,473 Kaspa. If Kaspa goes to $1, you would have $2,473. If you buy a miner instead, you're making Kaspa daily, and now you're competing with a rising hash rate that's super unpredictable, and you won't even get to this 2473 within 6 months. You won't reach that until a year later from now. What if a year later from now Kaspa goes to $3 or something like that, or it just goes to a higher price? Yeah, you're probably making $40 or $20 a day, but it's only equivalent to about 10-20 Kaspa. So you essentially would have made more money if you would have just got the 2,473 Kaspa originally. That's how I look at it. But if you only care about like the fiat value, the dollar amount value, then yeah, it might work. It'll be beneficial. They're cool at home miners though. If you want to, yeah, definitely too. Some people just want to support the project. So that's what I did. Like when I first got my KS0 Pro, I didn't really care so much about ROIing. I paid like $900 for that thing. It was a waste. I wish I would have looked into it more before I bought it though too, so I could save some money. But at that time, they were going for like around $900. And I had gotten it. Yeah, I'm not ROIing on that thing. Not even the dollar amount. I haven't ROI'd. Kaspa would need to go to like $1 for it to ROI in the dollar amount. I'm not ROIing in the Kaspa amount at all. But I wanted to support the project, so I had gotten one still. And it's good for the YouTube channel as well. So it was a tax write-off. YouTube expense. I have a KA Box Pro, KA0 Pro, and my Ultra's on the way. My Kaspa bag is stuff. Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, just make sure you run the numbers and stuff like that and see what's best. Give away a Tangent wallet, please. I would, but I give away a lot of Tangent wallets to personal people I know and stuff like that. I recently just did a 1,000 Kaspa giveaway like last week. But we'll see. I'll maybe do a giveaway for a Tangent wallet. I'm also thinking of maybe making a Tangent branded wallet that has my YouTube logo, my YouTube channel logo on it. And I may do giveaways when I do get those in my possession. So we'll see. Salute to all the miners that take the out to secure the network. Yeah. I made so much off buying Kaspa early. It's just fun to buy the miners now. Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. If you got in early, then yeah, you just buy the miners just cause you want to support. All right. Well, we're about to get off here, and I do want to answer the last remaining questions. Everyone has any questions? Someone said in their last video that Kaspa maybe hit $1. He said that Kaspa will not go past $1. No one knows, man. I don't listen to anyone's price prediction, man. It's an investment, and it could still be a risky investment. You invest what you're willing to lose. Don't make your strategy based off what someone said online. His guess is just as good as your guess or my guess. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be logging off for the day. YouTubers like CG, Crypto, Archie, Shilling, Cass makes you itchy? Why does it make you itchy? But yeah, if hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Leave a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done that yet. And also, if you want to support the channel, there are different ways you can support it. Of course, the free ways to support it is just by liking, subscribing, watching videos. But if you want to support it financially, you can consider joining the Patreon. The Patreon is a private Discord that I do run. And there's not some like crazy kind of alpha in there. This truly is just a way to support my work and what I do on here. And so you do get access to the private Discord. You get early access to all my YouTube videos before they go out live. Usually about 1 hour, you get to watch the videos an hour early. Some days I'm able to create multiple videos in a day, so you may be able to watch a couple videos before everyone else gets to. And then you'll also be a part of helping Kaspa grow. I don't use all the money and just keep it for myself. Some of the money I put back into a fund that I created that is just buying Kaspa every single month, about $60 worth. In this fund, we're going to let it grow. And if Kaspa needs any support for any like future development, like I know currently Kaspa right now is going through a development, a funding phase right now. Actually, let me pull this up so I can better describe this. So right now we're funding for Ledger to integrate Kaspa into Ledger Live, the Ledger Live application. And the collection goes 200,000 Kaspa. So this is being collected and people are donating. Right now 17,000 has been collected. So essentially we're going to build the fund up and we'll just vote on, hey, do you think we should put everything in the fund to this, or should we just keep stacking Kaspa and letting the fund grow to support future endeavors? So you could be a part of that when you do donate. I don't take all of the money. I do give back to the community. That's the best I can do. You also get convos with me, tech support. You can track my crypto portfolio, track my stock portfolio. You can do all that stuff if you join the Patreon. You can also join via YouTube by becoming a YouTube channel member. It gives you the same kind of benefits that I just described. You'll just get a little bit more here when it comes to on the YouTube platform. You'll get some badges next to your name depending on how long you've been a member. And 30% of this goes to YouTube, 70% goes to me, and then the rest that goes to me, I do put in that Kaspa Silver Fund every single month to help support Kaspa. So if you guys are interested in supporting me, those are the ways you could do it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Nelson's Crypto, for the $10. Keep up the content. Have a good one. Yo, thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate that. So enough said. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, don't be average, be different.